Hey guys, just wanted to take a moment to thank you for listening to SiDEBAR Forever. If you like the show, please subscribe to us at sidebarforever.com, as well as share episodes of the podcast on your social media. That way, new listeners can find us as well. As previously announced by Warner Brothers, Wonder Woman 1984 hit theaters and HBO Max on Christmas Day. Stars Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, as well as director Patty Jenkins, are back with more adventures of our favorite Amazon, along with Kristen Wiig and Pedro Pascal as the big bads in the movie. Early reviews are lukewarm at best, and we understand why. The sequel has problems that the 2017 original film did not, from the runtime, the pacing, confusing plot points, and character motivations. There's just a lot to unpack. Thus, Dwight and Swain are here with their podcast review. But hey, it ain't all bad. Kristen Wiig is terrific as the brilliant but awkward Dr. Barbara Minerva, aka Cheetah. And there's a mid-credits Easter egg that will make you stand up and cheer. And lastly, there be spoilers abound on the episode, just so you've been warned. And as always, thanks for listening to the show.
Good morning, Dr. Silberman. How's the knee?
Did you just have a brain fart?
I know Taekwondo.
Stop eating my sesame cake!
You're killing me, Smalls.
Fuck with me, and we'll see who shits on the sidewalk.
Come quietly, or there will be trouble.
Clearly, I wasn't talking to you, big titties. You cherub-looking motherfucker.
While you were still learning how to spell your name, I was being trained to conquer galaxies.
The real question is, what are those?
Wonder Woman 1984 was released on Christmas Day. Wonder Woman.
Was the world really waiting for you? I don't think that they were. This is not what I expected. I want shit corrected. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I didn't know you had bars, yo. I didn't know you were gonna bring the freestyle.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, just never know, man.
The sequel to the very first Wonder Woman movie, Wonder Woman 1984, was indeed released on Christmas Day via HBO Max, and also in theaters. And Dwight and I are here to give our opinions of the movie,
right?
And to talk about some of the good, the bad, and what I will say the problematic points.
Yeah, because it was never terrible. It was a question of pacing and timing.
I don't know, yo. I don't know.
In 2021, I'm trying to remain positive.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we got to keep it 100, though, yo.
This is true. This is true.
You know, it's got to be what it is. But
right? I mean, Gal Gadot. I mean, I like her. She's awesome. The scripting. Here's what I want them to stop doing. I want them to stop upping the ante on the villains every time they change the episode or change the movie. Just because it's friggin' the second movie doesn't mean that they have two villains.
Well, yeah, that's a problem, and I want to actually get to that.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's definitely get to that in the heart of the discussion. But
okay.
For Wonder Woman 1984, as Dwight kind of implied there, you know, the original team is basically back. Gal Gadot is back as Diana Prince, Chris Pine, and we're introduced to Kristen Wiig and Pedro Pascal as Dr. Barbara Minerva and as Maxwell Lord. Patty Jenkins directed the original. She's back for this one. And Patty Jenkins worked on the script and the story that Dwight is referencing with Jeff Johns. And so, yeah, to go right into it, I thought for sure, like you said, there were just problems with the story in general. I mean, it was just like, it was confusing.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand what was supposed to be happening with Max Lord and his character and his, quote, powers.
Right.
Like what you were just talking about, you know, You don't have to have two villains. Every story doesn't have to have what I call bad guy and worse guy.
Right.
You know, it's like you don't have to up the ante.
Every preceding sequel doesn't have to have one more, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if freaking James Bond adapted that mentality, we would never get to the fucking movie.
No. You know, and I mean, and to some extent, you know, you do see like, you know, okay, Goldfinger, and then you see Odd Job. You know, you do see the bad person and their henchmen.
Right.
But, you know, we just got a whole lot of screen time with, if Wiig is supposed to be Pedro Pascal's, you know, hench person, then, you know, we got a lot of screen time with her, a lot of screen time with him, and,
right.
you know, trying to understand, you know, their backstories and their motivations, and, oh, I'm lonely, and I'm this kind of a shrinking violet, and he's this kind of maniacal huckster,
right.
used car salesman a la Donald Trump,
right.
you know, in the 80s, and the art of the deal and shit. It was just, it was just a mess. And then some people were like, oh, well, you know, it's a superhero movie. Well, no. As a movie,
right,
it was just like difficult to follow, and
right.
The pacing was off. You know, like these long stretches where nothing happens.
Right. And it's true. One of the things that people need to stop making excuses for, and you can't make excuses for it anymore now, especially with the success of the Marvel movies, is it's not just about superpowers and superheroes. It's about the consequences. It's about the worlds they're immersed in. It's about the choices they make and about the scenarios they're caught up in that they utilize those powers in to overcome. Right.
Right.
So all this stuff about, oh, it's a superhero movie. That's the first. You know. No, that's not an excuse. Take that back to the 80s, 1984, probably.
There we go.
You know, but you know, what Swain is saying is right. I mean, you know, there was too many plot lines, too many plot threads going on, you know, and we like to think of ourselves as intelligent, you know, geeks, blurs, nerds, whatever you want to have it, and we can follow it. But, you know, the idea behind a story is to tell a coherent one and let it be what it is. I mean, let it be, you know, from point A to B to C, you know, and we stop bringing all these various little small caveats in if they're not really going to pay off in the end. And they tied everything up in a nice little bow, but at the same time, it was just so quick. It happened so quickly. It's like, what? Who cares? Like, it made no difference to me. Like, I knew from the very beginning on Paradise Island, yes, Paradise Island, Themyscira. I knew from the very beginning that whatever was stated in the first part of the movie was going to be reutilized and regurgitated in the very end.
Of course. They forecasted that, like, you know, you knew it was going to be like a bookend or a coda to the at the end, yeah.
Right, and that shouldn't be. I mean, I never really want to see. I never really want to see a point wherein it has to be. You feel like you have to put things in place because that's where they belong. I mean, I get it. I know there's a rhythm and rhyme to storytelling, you know, but at the same time, like, you know, as a director, you have to be experimental enough and challenge the directive enough to where you could say, this is my movie. Well, she did, I'm sure. Or at least don't be so caught up on fan service to the point to where you're not giving enough of the story room to breathe. And I think that's what happened in this situation. Like, do we really need the fucking armor that got tore off in a matter of 30 seconds? There was this great armor that one Amazon survived wearing. Asteria survived, and you know, it was a fabled thing that they showed in the beginning that everybody got to at the very end for the Amazons that made it to the very end, and then have it torn off by a super minored individual that just got powers. That,
well, you say that though, D, but that Cheetah is Wonder Woman's her biggest, you know, rogue.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
That's her greatest foe, as it, you know, directly as it relates to her. I mean, you can go back to the gods,
right? You
know, and her battling the gods, but that's her greatest foe. And so, I love that armor. I love the look of it. I love the way it looked on Gal Gadot.
Okay.
And I love the idea of what it is. You know, this idea of legacy and her putting it on, you know, for this big battle. That was fine to me, but
right.
It's just, like you said, it just didn't seem to measure up to the grandeur that we had been sold as to what that armor was and what it meant.
I mean, dude, come on. This mortal physical shell. I mean, yeah, I mean, she wished for it. This is one of the crazy little plot holes or one of the MacGuffins inside the story, wherein this thing grants wishes, and now this thing has become Pedro Pascal's character, and she wishes to be a apex predator, and arguably, a cheetah's never been an apex predator. I get it, whatever. But the fact that this god weapon, which is what that armor was getting shredded by mortal shell, by mortal pugilism, was ridiculous to me.
Well, but Cheetah was powered by magic, though. She was powered by the supernatural magic of the Dreamstone.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
And they never explained how she went from being just a human who had this this extraordinary strength and agility, etc., to now all of a sudden she looks like like something like one of the splicers from Batman Beyond.
That would have been awesome. Good.
That would have been very awesome. But just to kind of pause for a second, so what we find in the sequel is Diana is working for the museum. She's like a curator or an art. She's kind of like the movie was kind of one part Raiders, one part Bridesmaids, one part superhero movie, one part Lex Luthor and Superman 1970. It was just all kinds of things going on.
One part Girlfriends.
But we find, Diana's working in the museum. She's keeping a low profile. She's still doing things as Wonder Woman and saving people.
Right.
But she's kind of doing it in the shadows, and she's not really out there. And she meets Dr. Minerva, finds out that Minerva has this stone called the Dreamstone, which apparently you can hold it, make a wish, and then you get your wish. And of course, danger and mayhem ensues. Diana holds the stone and wishes for Steve to be back so she can love him again.
Yeah. Unwittingly wishes that she...
Unwittingly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unwittingly, Dr. Minerva holds the stone and wishes that she can be more like Diana and be a more confident, powerful person.
Right.
And so we see all of that play out. And then we're introduced to Maxwell Lord, who is kind of like I said, he's the huckster. He's claiming to be one thing to the world, but he's really he doesn't have the stuff.
Yeah, he's scummy.
Yeah, and then it's basically we follow the track of his path to becoming all powerful and getting this desire that he wants. And
right.
Anyway, that's the basic premise of the movie. But the other thing for me was like. The messy Middle East politics.
Right.
I was like, what? And
right.
then, Diana was too caught up in Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Steve Trevor. I read the old comics. I read the new comics.
Right.
I watched the Wonder Woman television show, which we, of course, serenaded the listeners with.
Right.
Early on. But, okay, he dies, and in 60 years, you never go out on another date.
Right.
You never do anything. You keep a low profile.
Right.
You don't stop the Nazis in the 40s. We don't see any of that. There's none of that.
Wow.
And then she brings Steve back in the body of this other guy.
Which is weird.
His spirit somehow.
That was weird, dude.
It was weird. Even my wife was like, "Why is this happening? How is this happening?"
Right.
Steve comes back, and she needs him to teach her how to fly.
Right.
What?
Hey, man, R. Kelly wasn't around, so.
Oh, God. And I was just like, Wonder Woman is a badass.
Right.
Really and truly, for me, you could have taken out the whole Steve Trevor piece and still had the same movie.
Yeah.
We didn't need any of that stuff. And I love some of the scenes of them together and their banter.
Right.
I loved him trying on the clothes, which is kind of like a romantic comedy. That was, trying on the 80s outfit.
Sure. Everybody wears parachute. Everybody parachutes these days.
Oh my God. And I love the fact that at least the way they played him, when it got time, to get down to throwing hands,
right.
Steve jumped right in, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's a soldier.
Right.
Dealing with the convoy in the Middle East.
Right.
And Steve jumps on top of the tank and then smashes the thing with his foot.
Right.
And then starts, he knows, okay, look, this stuff can be, he knows what he's doing. He's been in situations like that before. He's not afraid of the sweat.
Right. I guess my thing was, one of the things I didn't like about this whole situation is that, okay, this Wonder Woman took on in her first escapade in her own show, in her own movie, she took on a freaking god. I didn't see any blood. I didn't see any blood drawn. I didn't see any kind of scarification. She fought friggin' in the Justice League against one of Darkseid's most fabled minions. I didn't see any blood. I didn't see any scars. She was all ate up in this one, man. I mean, she was, looking ragged and hard on the floor when she got kicked around a couple of times by Cheetah. And I guess it could be worked into the plot to say that, well, the more Cheetah's powers grew, the less hers became. I guess that was the thing.
Well, that was the thing. They depowered her.
Okay.
And made her more vulnerable.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, already? We're to this? Already? I mean, they did it in Superman 2.
Right.
Where he gave up his powers so that we could see Superman get his ass kicked and feel sorry for him.
Right.
But I don't know, man. And then I don't know.
Well, the biggest injustices to the whole film was the trailer. Because the trailer was phenomenal, sir. Yeah. The trailer thought you were going to see, a brand new heroine that's being, fully, rendered in the best light, and she's doing all the miraculous things, the cool things that heroes do. And then you see this film, it's like, that scene was missing. Maybe they truncated that scene. Maybe they cut it just in the right place to make it more interesting for the trailer. And that's exactly what they did. Like the only music I heard from the 80s, and you tell me if I'm right about this, was this really crazy off-kiltered version of Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Was that really relaxed, or was that like a relaxed sound alike?
It could have been.
Don't. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, okay.
There were no 80s needle drops. There was nothing from Prince or Bruce Springsteen.
None of that, sir.
Or Flock of Seagulls or anybody from 1984.
Yes,
nothing.
man. No. Yeah, man. Something in that catalog you could have easily, I'm sure, had access to if you thought about it, putting it in there. I mean, no Adam and the Ants, no friggin', it was just, it was weird, dude. I mean.
Well, to address that point, I mean, again, for a movie they spent $200 million on, I know licensing music is very expensive.
Right.
But you would have thought that they would give you at least 3 or 4 good needle drops.
Right.
Where you'd say, oh, yeah, that's 84 for your ass right there.
Right. I'm there,
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you can't tell me their pockets aren't deeper than friggin' Netflix's pockets, dude. And Netflix, they did friggin' Weird Science, but Stranger Things, and they have mad needle drops in Stranger Things.
Yeah. Well, not only Stranger Things, but the Black Mirror BBC show. They did one. I forgot the name of the episode. It's the one that they got a lot of critical praise and fan praise for. It's got a Spanish name in the title, but it's about people who are dead and they're living in this alternate whatever, and two women fall in love.
Oh yeah. Was Gugu and Batha Ra's in that one?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of it.
And they play some 80s cuts in there to to make it feel like, okay, yeah, this is the 80s, but the CGI I thought was not great. Many times where it looked unconvincing. I was really thrown off by the goofy kind of animated Golden Lasso.
Okay.
And Wonder Woman swinging around like she's Spider-Man, and then she's swinging around on plane, the end of a plane, and then she's swinging. She grabs lightning with her lasso, which maybe some of that stuff is stuff that she's done in the comics for years, but it just looked ridiculous in the movies and didn't really work.
Honestly, I thought the grabbing lightning thing was cool. If she could fully live up to her legacy of being a daughter of Zeus, or a daughter of Zeus, so to speak, like his offspring or whatever the case may be. I'm not working on Hippolyta, but it's Hippolyta. It's Hippolyta. It's not Hippolyta.
I think it's Hippolyta. Yeah.
Okay. To me, I mean, that works if that's the case, because, she's not really human. She's created from clay, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. It's okay. She can have these kind of crazy little extra, vignettes of display of powers here and there as she grows into herself. But, the fact that she was like lassoing missiles and being strung along by missiles, and then all of a sudden she had to let go, or she pulled a bullet out of the air. And, I get it. It works. It's effective. But I mean, it kind of seemed like useless to me. The best use of the lasso for me is when she was in the hall of the White House and she's using it as a shield.
Yeah,
that was freaking awesome.
That was great.
You know,
I was there for that all day long. And
right.
And and the other thing I want to say too before we get into, there's 3 areas I thought were kind of problematic.
Okay.
Is that I think I can't speak for you. I was here for this 100%.
Yes, man.
I was ready to be entertained and wowed and ready to be like, okay, goddamn, I got me a fat ass Wonder Woman sequel.
Right.
And it just didn't deliver. And it seems crazy that it didn't because, again, you had a lot of talented people who, for the most part, for me, the 80 to 90% got it right the first movie.
Right.
The only thing I had a problem with in the first movie was the final battle sequence. And Patty Jenkins has gone on record as saying that was something that the Suits, Warner Brothers, they gave her notes on and wanted to add in. She wanted it to end on a quieter moment.
Right.
But they wanted the big final battle.
Of course they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're lazy. But I mean, I just thought there was just a lot of fan interest and excitement that they squandered with this. But 3 things I want to get to as far as I thought were problematic. 1, Diana is supposed to be a warrior.
Yeah.
An Amazon.
Right.
She's supposed to be the ultimate physical, athletic specimen.
Right.
Hand-to-hand combat, throwing spears and javelins and shields and jumping and leaping.
Right.
Athleticism. She's supposed to be like the ultimate Olympian athlete.
Right.
Gal Gadot is tall and slim, and she looks like a model, and she's beautiful. And I think she gives me a lot of Diana's heart, but I need her to look like an Amazon. And the reason why is this. If she's skinny or she's thin and she picks someone up and holds them by one leg, if I don't see muscles, it just looks like magic. It doesn't look like a warrior or a super fit person doing it. It just looks like magic. It looks like me doing it.
Well, I mean, to your point, though, I mean, you said it earlier. That's what she is. She's born based on magic.
But she's supposed to be super fit, like the dudes are. She's supposed to be cut, muscular, like impressive and imposing, not just attractive and tall.
I mean, that's where we have to agree disagree on that, man. Because I see the it's like the way she was beating the hell out of Amazons that were like a third of her age. She was about to win the Olympiad. Like there's no way that a child should be able to do the things she was doing. But it's only because of the fact that she's got that God-imbued ability and powers that she was able to do that. You know what I mean? So that's why, I mean, no matter how she worked out, she would never get the thing on a muscle tone because she doesn't need muscle tone.
I just have a problem with it because I think that it does the character a bit of a disservice.
I agree.
To not have her be imposing. Like if we get a She-Hulk TV show.
Yeah.
With Jessica Walters, I think is the name of the character.
Yeah.
She can't just be tall and green.
Right. She can't be. That'd be horrible, dude.
She has to be hulkish.
And Tatiana Maslany, who's playing her, is not nowhere near hulkish, dude. I mean, she's a gorgeous, fit young lady.
But she may be playing the Jessica Walters portion, and they may actually CGI.
Right, like you did the character Hulk.
Like they did Mark Ruffalo in the films.
Right.
But we see characters like Captain America. He looks buffed.
Right.
We see characters who are in armor or who have technology to the system. They don't have to look that way.
Right.
Captain Marvel doesn't necessarily have to look that way because she's a soldier. I mean, she should be in shape, but she's a soldier and she's covered head to toe.
Right.
And she is superpowered. She's shooting, blasts and flying and doing all these other things.
Right.
But Diana is supposed to be good hand-to-hand combat strategist, warrior, fight, kick, jump, flip. Shields, punching, kicking, all of it.
Right.
She should look like she should be able to do that stuff. Otherwise, to me, it just looks like movie magic.
Right.
Which, again, if that's what you're going to do, I guess that's fine. But it does the character disservice. And, I am always let down when I don't have that.
Right. I agree. I mean, the comic book character is the best example of what you're supposed to look like. I mean, the Diana is drawn by good artists, I like to say, and that's of course a tricky term. Always show her with a little bit of athletic build. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in the animated versions, I mean, that's what she looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Robin Wright Penn looked kind of kick-assish.
Right.
You know, some of the other Amazons that were walking around on Themyscira,
yeah,
they looked like wrestlers and like, you know, fitness competitors.
Yeah.
You know, like UFC fighters. They look like Gina Carano in her prime. They look like, you know, fighters. And she just looks like a thin, tall, graceful looking model, you know.
Right.
But the second thing I had an issue with was I was just like, okay, so Diana, Steve Trevor's spirit goes into this random guy's body. Diana has sex with this random guy's body.
A rando, we call him, yeah.
A rando.
A Randalorian, sir.
The Randalorian. Okay, there's no consent.
Hey, you know, this is 1984, sir. There are quite
I was just like, okay.
There are quite other cases that are on record that happened too. So,
well, but I'm just saying, it's never right to do it. And
of course
like,
not.
This is a weird turn in the story.
Yeah.
To have it happen, and first of all, we didn't understand what was going on anyway. With okay, wait a minute, is this like some Freaky Friday shit? Now Steve is in some guy's body.
Right.
Suppose this guy has a girlfriend or a wife. Suppose he's gay. Suppose he just doesn't like Diana Prince.
Right. And what, didn't you mention to me offline or in a conversation with you and Adrian where you said that what happened to this guy while he wasn't in his body? Did he go to hell?
Right. Like what happened? Yeah. He's in some weird purgatory. And then I found out after the fact, and see if you caught onto this.
Right.
The actor who's playing, and on top of that, he doesn't even get a name. I think they called him in the credits, Handsome Guy.
Wow.
Like that's his name. Okay, so look, the actor who's playing him,
right,
playing the character,
right.
They hired him and they styled his hair so that he would look like Lyle Wagner, who played Steve Trevor on the television show.
Wow, seriously?
That was supposedly the intent, and I never got any of that.
No. And he got no screen time, dude. He was there for the minute he was in bed momentarily.
No, he was there when he first contacted her.
Okay.
At the party.
Okay, and then he was at the end of this thing, and she's walking down the street.
And then at the end, that's it.
Wow.
And then that was it.
Wow.
So, but the other thing was something that our friend David Williams, artist formerly known as Brohawk, he brought up on online. He was saying DC has a long history of taking, seemingly smart blonde women with glasses and turning them into supervillains.
Yeah, man.
You got Michelle Pfeiffer in the original Batman movies in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You got Uma Thurman in the original Batman movies in the 80s. Same thing. Nerds with glasses who all of a sudden become these badasses.
Mm-hmm.
You have Margot Robbie, who's kind of like this psychotherapist or whatever in Suicide Squad. And now she becomes, Harley Quinn.
Right.
And now Wiig. And it's like they have a long history of this. And it's like, okay, everybody doesn't have, every nerd is not seething with, the desire to take over the world or to become, this bombastic person. Some people are just happy being who they are, and it's just kind of a trope.
Yeah, it is. It's a tired trope, man. It's exactly what I was going to say, dude. It's like, come on, man. I mean, really? I mean, I guess for the 80s, it's that time, so to speak. I mean, you can kind of chalk it up to where that's where they were. But I don't. I have no confidence in that, man. You can throw that out altogether. I'd be a lot more surprised, and it to me it's like almost like they're telegraphing and playing it close to the cuff by even allowing it to exist as a constant, ongoing, repetitive mode. It's just weird, dude. Like, okay, I know who that is. Wink, wink.
Right.
Like, get out of here.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of lame. But apparently they're also too, if you really think about it, as it relates to Gal Gadot's introduction in Batman v Superman, and then in Justice League, and then to now, that the Wonder Woman in the Snyderverse, if you will,
right, yeah,
is not the same Wonder Woman in the Jenkins verse.
Yeah. Because
there's some timeline and some continuity issues that don't quite hold up.
Right.
So there's some problems with that, but
I believe it, because there's no driving vision, dude. Everybody's doing their own thing.
There's no Feige.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody's doing their own thing. It's like, you know what? this would be a great script if let's take it through a script doctor. Let's take it through this whole controlled ideal and mechanism that makes everything work together in a combined universe like you guys are trying to do. Without that, it's just a bunch of people doing whatever they want to do at the time.
Yeah. And Snyder does not have the reputation for caring about character and story and narrative as much as he does about visuals. And things looking, powerful and visceral and evocative and looking kick-ass. So,
well, I'm looking forward to see what he does. I'm looking forward to seeing what this new version of the Justice League is gonna portray and show.
Because you can miss me with that part. No, I'm not gonna be watching it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have no interest at all. I can't give him any more of my money. And he produced.
Well, you don't have to. It's free on HBO. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm not gonna give him any more of my time.
There you go. Man, it's funny how those things equate, right? Like it's almost like after watching 1984, I was like, oh man, I don't feel right about this.
Yeah.
Because I watched on the first day. I watched inside the first hours because I was off that day, and I was hyped. I'm known to watch things inside the first few hours that it comes on. I mean, I'll
yes, you are.
And it didn't pan out that way for me. So I got caught up in the stream wars, wherein a bunch of people watching at the same time, and it was load time. So what was a 3-hour movie turned to a fucking 4-hour movie for me. I was like, okay, I'm kind of over this now at this point,
And that was kind of one of the other things too. Is this is a very long movie.
Yeah, man, jeez, dude.
This is like what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, especially as he's going to the Middle East and he's tricking the sheikh and he's erecting walls and causing all kinds of crazy ass catastrophic situations for people around the world and shit. And that wasn't good enough for you. So you're not going to president's office of the president. And I get it. I'm just on a global scale of a comic booky movie ish type thing. This is kind of shenanigans you want to have, but I was just kind of like over it after a while, man. It's okay. And Pedro was eating up the scenery left and right with his crazy maniacal,
the overacting and the wig and the hairpiece. I was just like, ugh.
I'm like, dude, sit down, chill out, go away. Just
I will say this: as long as the movie was as off-paced as it was, as confusing at times as it was, and like you said, you and I are, we consider ourselves to be, reasonable people who are, cinephiles and who can follow stories and multiple storylines. You can interweave them. We're here for it all day long. With all of those things that were, really challenging as far as this movie goes. That mid-credit sequence with Linda Carter.
Yes, man. Asteria, sir.
Whew.
Yeah, man.
That was my shit,
yo. That was awesome, man. That was worth it. Dude.
Oh my god.
My god. Yeah, it almost made the preceding like 3.5 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, yo.
Almost made it worth it, dude.
Yeah, that was a great bit of casting. That was a great little touch.
Right.
And obviously those were Linda Carter's eyes in the beginning.
Okay. Were they?
When Diana was reflecting back and they showed Asteria fighting the battle.
Okay, I didn't pick up on that.
And then they did a close up on her eyes, and that obviously was Linda Carter's eyes.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't
pick
up on that.
And I did feel a little flutter in my nether regions when I saw those eyes. So
nice.
I knew what was up. But
nice.
But just to just to bring it to a close, they fast tracked a third movie.
Really?
Yeah, there's going to be a third one, and Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot are coming back. Hopefully, Steve Trevor won't be coming back. Chris Pine.
Jeez. Let's hope not.
And Diana won't be having sex with another guy in another meat suit.
Right.
But
also known in the 80s as a stunt cock.
Oh my goodness! But as it relates to that, I mean, it is fair to point out that there is a thing called the sophomore jinx when it comes to second projects.
Right.
That some movies and musicians have it. When you have a franchise and when you have sequels and
right.
It happens. The second Avengers movie was not great. Age of Ultron.
Right.
The second Thor movie, Dark World, was not great. It wasn't as good as the first Thor movie, and it certainly wasn't as good as Ragnarok.
Right.
I didn't like the second Guardians as much as I liked the first Guardians. I thought the second Guardians was a little bloated and kind of missed the mark in a couple of places, at least for me.
Okay. I mean, I can comment on all those things, man. But for the most part, I like most of those things because I'm invested in liking them to the point to where I don't see the folly in some of them based on the fact that as long as it carries the story someplace and it's not wasted. And like you said, Iron Man 2, did it really carry the story someplace? Not so much. But I did like some of the performances in it,
Yeah, you can pretty much flush Iron Man 2 and 3, as Adrian pointed out.
No, man, you can't do that, man. Gotta have him, man.
Oh,
it's because it's part of Tony Stark's evolution, so it worked for me.
Well, but I'm just saying, as movies, as standalone movies to be enjoyed, I just thought that they both missed. Like the third one more than the second one. The second one was just, wacky characters and whatever. The third one was just like, okay, Iron Man's lost weekend with his adopted foster kid. Oh, no thanks.
I didn't care much for the whole idea of the empowering of Pepper either. That threw me off. That was weird.
Yeah.
And I absolutely I abhorred the use of the Mandarin in this situation. It was a waste of a good which would be, Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. He pulled it off, dude. But to find out he was like this wacky British, actor that couldn't get a good role, in the role of his life, it was like, okay, yeah, that's a bit much for me.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's harder to get to duplicate the magic again, man. And that's what these sophomore jinxes are what they a lot of these movies suffer from.
Yeah. So, for anyone who hasn't seen it, again, you can see Wonder Woman for about 20 some odd more days on HBO Max, and it'll be in theaters for a while, and then then you'll have to wait until it's released on Blu-ray. Yeah, and then brought to VOD proper, but again, there's going to be a third movie, and looks like everyone is coming back for it. So I'm definitely going to check it out. But the third time will be the charm for me, dog.
Yeah.
The third time is, they got to nail it, and they got to nail it. That's all I can say.
That's all needs to be said, sir.
That concludes this episode of Sidebar Forever, hosted by Dwight Clark, Swain Hunt, and Adrian Johnson. You can find us online at sidebarforever.com. Any emails or questions can be directed to us at sidebarforever@gmail.com. And also, subscribe to us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Sidebar Forever is copyright 2020. Dwight Clark, Swain Hunt, and Adrian Johnson.